Feels like at times I really don't want to talk about basketball anymore. I think this modern NBA has kicked my love for the NBA. Not so much basketball, sport of basketball. Playing it, maybe not. But watching it, trying to talk about it on here, has pretty much kicked my drive into low gear. You know, it's just too much within the league, just too much. No one standing on business. Everybody doing what everybody else does. Monkey see, monkey do. Copycats. Oh, I want to join Miami's. Like he joined Miami. Oh, I want to leave my team because, he did the same thing. And then we got other guys who stand on business and they get roasted and their name thrown through the mud in the media for 2 months straight. And then the NBA in total, everything surrounding it, how it is now, it ain't the same it was 20 years ago. It ain't the same it was 10 years ago. It's too, I can't even think of the word for it. But it just don't feel right, and it just ain't the same. I think they're trying to kick older fans away, which is always a bad idea. See, I seen some of this in the movie industry. I've seen it with prestigious franchises that people were fans of by the millions and thousands. For example, like Star Wars. And then when that new trilogy came around, they tried to kick the old fans away and tried to make Star Wars for the weirdo fan. Well, the weirdos. Can't call them a fan base, but the weirdos. When I mean the weirdos, you know who I mean. The weirdos. They live different lifestyles and all this other stuff. They try to make it, put social justice into it, woke stuff into it, which has not worked at all, and is multiplied going to different franchises across the cinematic landscape, such as not just Star Wars, but the MCU, DC, EU, DC, whatever they call themselves now, Ghostbusters. Even the Disney stuff is not safe. We know the Disney stuff is not safe. But that is what has happened with some of our entertainment. But when it comes to the NBA, it's too much. And then outside of the NBA with the YouTubers, we got liars out here. So shout out to 2 Raw. I heard this, man. And when I mean liars, these guys out here, these LeBron fans are absolute liars. So I don't know who this guy is. I really don't know. 2 Raw calls him Donatello from Ninja Turtles. But this guy has the nerve to say that LeBron faced better defenders than what Michael Jordan faced. And he picks Jeff Hornacek, and I think the other one may have been Kevin Johnson and Dan Marley. And then kind of goes on a racist tirade against those two, saying they're white and couldn't do all. It's like, come on now. We gotta stop this. Because they're white, they can be weak defenders. They're white. If they're white, that means they're not good at. Shut up! They're white. If they're white, they're not good defenders, not good basketball players. I can't count numerous white players that can ball. They're part of the top 75. But anyways, the audacity to say that there's There was no good defenders during Jordan's time. There was a whole bunch of defenders during LeBron's time. It's absolutely crazy. The defenders that he picked out of LeBron's time is Draymond Green, not Kyrie, but Kawhi Leonard. I think Kawhi Leonard is a two-time Defensive Player of the Year, and Draymond Green had to go do a whole presidential campaign to become Defensive Player of the Year when he was there. Because I think the other Defensive Player of the Year so far have been Rudy Gobert and Giannis. Also, boy that went to Utah from Memphis. Jaren Jackson Jr. was the other one, and the other one was Marcus Smart. And Marcus Smart probably does not hold LeBron when they played each other. I don't even think Kawhi Leonard. Yeah, Kawhi Leonard had to. I think Kawhi Leonard did take some time holding LeBron, but regardless, we ain't gonna get on LeBron and his defenders because he got clamped up by an old Jason Terry, an old Jason Kidd, in a tiny 6 foot, not tiny, but for basketball standards, JJ Barea. Little JJ Barea, old ass Jason Terry and Jason Kidd, really old ass Jason Kidd. Alright. Since everybody wants to lie on Jordan's career, saying Jordan never faced any great defenders, there was 4 guards during Jordan's time, who won Defensive Player of the Year. One of them was Jordan, Gary Payton, Alvin Robertson, and Sidney Moncrief. I think Sidney Moncrief won 2 Defensive Player of the Year awards. But there's other guards who were, part of the defensive team, all defensive teams. Start from when Jordan was drafted: Sidney Moncrief, Maurice Cheeks. I'm just naming the guards, I ain't naming the forwards. Dennis Johnson. Like I said, Alvin Robertson, Michael Cooper, Joe Dumars, just to name a few. Those guys may not been. Oh, some of those guys are defensive players. Some of them are all defensive team players. Gary Payton, of course. Mookie Blaylock had a couple of times in the Defensive Player of the Year award. Well, not Defensive Player of the Year award. Defensive play. All defensive teams. Oh, Defensive Player of the Year. I'll tip my tongue all the time. Just to name a few. There was. I just don't get it, man. I come to the realization. That's why I pause. I came to the realization that, what do these guys be talking about? Why? I don't get the lies. I'm not getting the lies here. I don't understand the lies. It's so egregious how these guys lie when somebody can simply get on the internet and look it up for themselves. But I think they expect for these guys not to, look it up their own selves. Because it's too stupid to look it up their own selves. I don't know why these guys don't look it up their own selves. If you look at all the finals team that Jordan's played, right? You look at all the guards. Let's narrow it down even to that. So start with the Los Angeles Lakers, their first opponent in the NBA Finals. This is how ridiculous this is getting. On that team for the Los Angeles Lakers, the guards. Now, Magic Johnson was not known as a, all defensive player. He really wasn't. Really wasn't. And there was no more Michael Cooper around this time already. Then you look at 92. 92 is even easier. 92. Look at the guards on 92. The guards on 92 that Jordan faced in that finals. Clyde Drexler. How do you forget about him? I don't know how they forget about him. I don't get it. Clyde Drexler in the 91-92 season, he averaged 1.8 steals that season. For a career high in steals for a season, he had 2.7, and that was a couple of seasons before that. Now, Clyde was never really put on the defensive teams, but he can get them steals. So there's one. 92-93 finals, or the 93 finals, just to say. You go down that line. That's the Phoenix Suns now. The Phoenix Suns had the likes of Dan Marley, Kevin Johnson, and older Danny Ainge, and Frank Johnson. Even on the way to the finals for those guys, I don't know why I'm talking like that, but even on the way to the final for those guys, for the Chicago Bulls, they still had to go through New York, who was pretty good defensively. So even getting to the finals through New York was a problem. And we ain't gonna forget about getting through the Pistons as well in the early years. As I mentioned, Joe Dumars. And we know 96 had Gary Payton. And one person that's not talked about a lot when it comes to those Seattle Supersonic teams, kind of gets left, like Joe Dumars also gets left out of the conversation. Nate McMillan. Now, Nate McMillan is no Hall of Fame guard. We already know that. I think he got highly treated unfairly in Atlanta when he was the coach for the Atlanta Hawks due to a freaking fuzzy lumpkin, Cabbage Patch Dow looking hair, you know what, and Trae Young. But Nate McMillan was a two-time all-defensive second team in 94 and 95. He was also a steals leader in 94. So it's also 6'5", so he can match up with Jordan as well. So what are we talking about? His career, let's see, what did he have a career steal? It was 3.0. Yeah, it was 3.0. That was his most. So he averaged 3 steals per game in the 94 season. That was his highest. In the 96 season, he only averaged 1.7. But he was still formidable when it comes to defense. And we already talked about Gary Payton. That guy didn't even mention Gary Payton at all. Now, when it comes to the later years with the Utah Jazz, John Stockton didn't really play defense, more Byron Russell and others. But the gist of it is to say that Jordan didn't play against any defensive players is completely, or any good ones that were notable, I guess in this case black, is absolutely egregious. This is the same stupid thing that they said about Larry Bird didn't have play against any small forwards at his caliber. When I already did a video about that, and that list was long of all the small forwards that Larry Bird had to go against compared to LeBron James. See, this is the problem. This is the problem with these LeBron fans. They know their boy can't stand up to any of the old school greats. So they gotta continue and find different ways to diminish the past. And they're gonna continue to find ways. And after a while, they're gonna start telling lies on top of lies on top of lies, which they already started to do. Talk about Jordan didn't play. Gary Payton don't ring a bell? See, the problem is for some of these people as well. Some of them may lie, and some of them are just ignorant. And I mean ignorant, they just don't know about the past. So they just say anything. But anyways, at least Jordan didn't get locked up by a 6-foot JJ Barrera and score 8 points in the finals game. On the super team as well.